All right, Nick, let's talk about the Nebraska Cornhuskers. I think just in general, there's a lot of stuff going on in the football world, the football zeitgeist. People are committing, decommitting, and it seems like one of those moves in general may be trending in the Nebraska direction. I think this could be something really exciting for the Cornhuskers. I'm Andrew, and this is Saturday Morning Inspection. As I alluded to, Nick, I talked about commitments, decommitments, specifically the decommitment category. An Oklahoma player has decommitted, and I think that spells potentially some really great news for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Let's get into the tweets, articles, whatever you want to call them. There's a bunch of different stuff, and we'll talk all about it on the other side. This is from over on X, Hayes Fawcett over on X. Really great follow if you want any good college football breaking news. This is breaking. Class of 2025 defensive lineman Kamori Moore has decommitted from Oklahoma, he tells On Threat Recruits. The 6'2", 290-pound D lineman from Lee Summit, Missouri, I believe, has been committed to the Sooners since July 2023. Is the second defensive lineman to decommit from Oklahoma in the last 10 days. You may be asking yourself, what in the world does this have to do with Nebraska? I'm about to show you. Let's get into our second article. This is a On3 Sports report, and it's showing none other than the Nebraska Cornhuskers at the top of that list now, favored to get the commitment from Moore. 87.2% prediction rating for them there. Very, very high. I think this is very good news for the Cornhuskers. Nick, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this one. But before we get to you, Nick, Nebraska fans, in the comment section below, great football being played so far this season. Nebraska, there's been some ups, there's been some downs, but I think this week we can rebound and make even bigger noise. I'm curious what your thoughts are, though. What is the score for this week's game for the Nebraska Cornhuskers going to be? Let us know in the comment section below. Let us know if you think this team can bounce back. I think that they can. I think they're going to have a really big rebound game. Let us know your score predictions in the comments below. But Nick, what do you think about this potential decommitment commitment for Nebraska?
I think it speaks to Matt Rhule and his coaching staff's underlying strategy and that the disappointment against Illinois. And I think we'll agree it totally was a disappointment. Now, look, Illinois looks like a solid football team, but that's call it what it was. It was a missed opportunity for Nebraska to make even more noise. Honestly, when I first heard that happen, or actually when we first watched the game and it ended, my first thought was, this is going to hurt them in the recruiting. This is a step back. The optimistic side is it doesn't look like it has. It looks like they're about to pull off a really massive move here and secure this quality defensive lineman recruit, get him out of the reaches of Norman, Oklahoma, and get him to Nebraska. And I think it speaks to Matt Rhule and his coaching staff's recruiting ability. I always say that tell of a really good recruiter, just like a salesman, even when your product isn't as good as the other guys, or when it's not, maybe even a little bit worse, but you still buy it, that's because there's a great salesman involved, right? They always had that saying about great pitchers in baseball. They make you believe they have their best stuff even when they don't. Nebraska, we all know, we've talked about it a lot. They're still a year, maybe two away. And with that in mind, you would expect after a disappointing loss, which is going to happen, right? Because they're still a year or two away, is that you would expect recruits to kind of step back, decommit, maybe lose a little interest. That's not what's happening, clearly. It sounds like Nebraska is going to have the opportunity to make more moves like this instead of just adding more into the fold. Looks like they're going to be able to add a bunch of other players and other prospects as we work our way through the regular season and, of course, the recruiting cycle in 2025 as well. And I think it speaks to the sales job that Matt Rhule and his staff are doing. And that is so incredibly important. You've got to be able to consistently recruit because you're not going to win every game, obviously, right? You're not going to go undefeated and win national titles every year, right? The Georgias and the Alabamas of the world, they have that as kind of a luxury. They go on a dynastic run and then they can just recruit off the fact they beat some poor team 60-0 the previous Saturday. Nebraska and basically every other program in the country doesn't have that luxury. They've got to work on their sales jobs and the recruiting pitches and their effort. We've talked about the effort that Matt Rhule has put in going back about a year and a half now, and we're seeing the rewards of it slowly come into focus, even when they don't have their best stuff, even coming off a loss. I think the fact they're about to pull off this massive move is a sign that Matt Rhule's strategy isn't dependent on Nebraska being an elite team, which is a great sign as they slowly work to climb their way back into the ranks of the top programs in the country.
Yeah, Nick, and I think what you're saying is really important here because Matt Rhule, I think he has always said, like, hey, this is a developmental program. We're going to take guys in, we're going to start them, we're going to develop them. As good as we think Dylan Raiola is leading this offense, we got to realize this is his first year under center. If Matt Rhule is going to develop Dylan Raiola and he never gets any better than he is now, which I will say is very good, he's already really good, then Matt Rhule has failed because he's supposed to be a developmental coach, a developmental destination for anyone who wants to come grow as in this team and get better as the years go on. Dylan Raiola is going to get even better. All these recruits come in, I think they can hear, like you said, that sales pitch, that song and dance from Rhule. It's like, hey, we've done some impressive stuff this year already. Illinois, they are a tough team, top 25 team right now, number 24 in the country. Overtime loss to them doesn't sting quite as bad as if you got blown out, but it does sting. But he's saying, hey, this is the first year of my quarterback. We have a couple of more years to go. We're going to develop, we're going to get better. And like you said, I still got my best stuff in my back pocket. There's still some things left I have to show. So I think this is a really great job. And it's like you said, maybe first blush, immediately after the game against Illinois is over, you're like, this could hurt. But then you start to think about it. This was a really impressive performance. It almost went their way. It could have been something spectacular, but this is just the beginning. So I think this is really important. And that's why I think recruits are still gathering, trying to get to Nebraska because they know the best years of Nebraska are yet to come. So they need to get in early if they want to make it on this potential superstar program.
And I've been talking about Nebraska for such a long time, as Matt Rhule has been trying to initiate and work through this rebuild, is you can feel the energy. You can feel the long-term gears of this machine heading in the right direction. And that's something when you have that momentum, a loss or two doesn't deter. A loss or two can accelerate the flywheel, but when you've got this much positive momentum, when you've got buy-in from the head coach, the administration, down to the boosters, the players, scholarship guys, walk-ons, water boys, recruits, you name it. There's a lot of momentum behind this program and energy right now. And even one close loss won't deter it because everyone understands, everyone's on board with exactly what you said. This is a developmental program. It will take a few years to get where they need to go. And as this boat keeps accelerating, as they build a lot more energy and momentum, I expect more recruits to get more interested in Nebraska, them to rise up the recruiting rankings and add on a few big W's as well as momentum continues to build for this Nebraska team.